So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up my Silhouette Studio. It's on the wrong screen. Here we go. Here's our Silhouette Studio. Normally, if you first open it up over on this panel, Silhouette shows you your recent projects. So if you were working on something and you wanted to just go right back to it, it does give you that option to go in there. So, and are all of you familiar with the tools in Silhouette Studio Designer Edition? Yes, yes, mostly yes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the tools as I go. For me, the best way for me to learn is to just kind of, my husband hates it, I just push buttons until I figure out what they do, but I've already done the button pressing, so I figured out what they do, and I'll help explain you some things. So, while the guys are away, we are going to do more girlier designs. I am a Pinterest queen, that's what they call me here, and I'm always putting glitter on something and browsing Pinterest, and I have so many things that I've monogrammed. So while the guys are away, I'm going to make some girly designs for you all. And I know that a lot of you love monograms. Have any of you seen the split monograms where the word is split and you can put the name on the inside? No, 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 yes. Well, I'm going to show you how to do that. It's actually a pretty simple thing to do, and it's a great way to sell some custom apparel. I actually, like with my HGV, I love pressing it to canvas panels and framing them. So there's a lot of great ways you can use the monogram, and I'm at the point in my life that I am going to a wedding probably once a month now. So I like to make these personalized gifts for the bride and groom. So what I'm going to do is I have my Designer Edition open. I'm just going to grab the text tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a nice basic font for the monogram. Times New Roman. There's a reason why we use it so much. It's a great what we call a serif font. So it has those little tails on the words. So I'm going to go ahead and someone give me your initial for your last name. Okay, we're going to go with M. So here we go. Here's M. So we have our M in here. I'm going to click on it, and I'm just going to stretch it out to give us a bigger area to work with. And, oops, I got excited and double-clicked. So we're going to go in here, and I'm going to go ahead and double-click. When you have text, you can double-click, and that's how you edit your text. I'm going to highlight this M, and just for the ease of working with it, I'm going to fill it in. So, of course, girly day, girly color, I'll fill that in. And just so that we can see the lines we're working with, up here in our toolbar, we have line color right here. I'm just going to change the line color so you can see the difference in it. I'll just change it to black to make it easier. So it's not very drastic, but there's our black line color. So if you go in, you see Pinterest, you see things, you'll see that they have the name in the middle here. And a lot of times I'll see people take their knife tool and cut, and it just kind of gets a little messy. So I'm just going to go back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the square tool over here on the left. Just make a square on here. Whatever size you want to be, you have to make sure you have enough room to write a name. So I have about that in there. And again, just for the sake of working with it, I'm going to fill it in so you can see where the square is. So I'll go ahead and fill that in. So that's what you want in there, but you don't want it cut. You want that space in between there. And before we do that, we're going to go over here and highlight this. So I have both my M and the square selected. And go over to our Align tools. The Align tools is your best friend while you're designing. I use them quite frequently. And so what we want is we want this centered in the M. So I'm going to Align Center. And I wasn't that off, so that's pretty great. And then while it's still highlighted, I want that square to be gone. I want a space there. So does anyone know what I'm going to do next? Yes, I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to go up here to our Modify panel. There's an M there. And you have all of these options for you to do. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to subtract. So now that space is gone. So now each one of these pieces, can you guys hear me? Yes, yes. Okay, great. Sorry, a couple of you were missing sound. Hopefully we can get that fixed. Okay, so this M is now in different pieces. If you see, I can move that, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and put those back. I'm just hitting Control Z. And so I'm going to grab all of these pieces. Oh, it went away because I took too long. Grab all of these pieces. We're going to go up here to Object and Group. And I see a couple of you had to jump out. I'll go over this again for you, and so you'll be able to grab this. So now it's all in one piece. So the next part is we want those lines. If you put a name right in there, it might look a little bit strange. So we're just going to go through, just like we did with the square. We're going to make more rectangles here. So we have that, and just going to select it and put a color in there for you. So we have that. I like that color combination, by the way. So I'm going to select both of these, and just like before, we're going to align. So align center, and again, I wasn't too far off. And so there's a couple different ways you can duplicate this. You can copy and paste, but one of my favorite things to do in Designer Edition is I'm holding down my Alt key. If you have a Mac, I think the equivalent is Option, but I'm going to hold down Alt, and do you see that plus arrow? I'm going to drag down. So now I have duplicated that right down there. And it seems a little bit like a little space, so I'm just going to drag these up a little bit to give myself a little bit more room. So I'm going to select these, and like always, going to align center. So now you have that space there. You have where you're going to put the name. And I always have a hard time when I click things that I'm going to move it. So since this is set the way I want it, I'm going to select it all again, and I'm going to group it. And you can always hit Control G for that. I love my shortcuts. And so now it's time for the name. So I'm just going to click in here. I'm going to select a font. I'm on Rudy's computer, so let's see if he has the font I like. Okay, so he doesn't have the font that I normally use, so I'm just going to grab, since we have this bold serif font, I'm just going to look for a script, something pretty and girly for the name. So let me look through here, and here's one, freehand. This looks pretty good. So give me the name of you and your significant other. Who should I put in on this monogram? What do you think? Okay, we've got Melissa and Joe. So we're going to go in here and type in Melissa and Joe. And so, like always, I'm going to fill this in. And now we have it, we don't have it where we want. So I'm just going to use my down arrows, bring it over here, and going to center align it. Now, if you look, these letters have these little lines here. So if you send it to your cutter, it's going to cut those lines. So do you guys know what we do next? How do we get these lines out of here? Weld, yes. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of these. So you can either go through Object, or I love using my Modify window, and weld. So here we go. They're all welded. Notice that these didn't go through. Oops, don't double click. So since these didn't go through, I'm going to select it again and hit weld. And normally that would work, but I don't know why that font, it's having a moment. So we're just going to leave that font like that for now. But if you notice, like let's say we wanted, I'm going to go ahead and group all of this. And let's say you wanted an overlap. You wanted the font to be a little bit bigger, but the J and Joe is hanging over. So do any of you know a good way to make that work out well, to give yourself a little bit of space? Yes, we are going to do an offset on this. So an offset's basically a gutter. It gives you a little bit more space, especially if you're layering this in vinyl. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. So we're going to go through here. So I have this selected, and just make sure you have everything. I'm going to group this. Somehow the eye got away from me. So I have this grouped, and so now I'm going to go up here. The offset, it's a little pentagon with the light around. Open the offset window, and I'm going to select an offset. Now this offset's pretty big, so we don't want that. So I'm just going to bring this down to just give me a little bit of space. Silhouette's kind of like all or nothing sometimes. So I'm going to click this. Okay. So if you see there's a little bit of an offset there, just a little bit of space for you, and I'm going to hit apply. So now we have this. So we're going to go ahead and move this to the side for now. And so do you remember how to get that space out of there? Yes, we're going to go through, and I'm going to go to my modify window and hit subtract. So now we have that little notch for the Joe that got taken out. So we have all of that, and do you remember the next step after subtract that we need to do before we move on? Yes, we need to group. So we're going to go in here and group, and now this is one image again. So we'll go through, this is grouped together, and this will go right back in there. And so I think we have a little bit more space. So you can just use your arrows until you find the right spot. So there we go. We have this monogram. And so we have all of that together. And for a nice touch, I always like to do the date they got married. So I'm going to put down my wedding date. So I'm going to pick Times New Roman. And I'm going to do established 2013. So I got married in 2013. So do that and fill it in a color. And this one, I'll fill in the same color as that M. I don't think that's the same color. So do you guys know how to make sure the colors match? Yep, you can do the eyedropper tool. So over here, we have what we want the color to be. We're going to select the eyedropper tool and select this M. And then now we have them the same color. So I'll go ahead, grab this, and center it. So there we go. We have this centered in here. We have a cute little basic monogram for a couple that is getting married, or maybe you want to do an anniversary gift. There's a lot of really great fonts that you can use. These are just two that I selected here. And so you could cut this out all in one color, like let's say you want it all in black. Or if you did want the M and the lines in one color and you want their names to stand out, what you would do is, I always like to draw a square around this because it helps with your weed box. So I'm going to draw my square around it. And we're going to go up here to our, we're going to go up here to our cut settings. So up here, you have, you know, your material that you're cutting on, but how do I choose where to cut it? Like, what do I do? And now that I see these lines in here, we do need to go back to our design and take out this overlap right here. Do you see that? So we're going to go in here, and we're going to select this and ungroup it. So now these are separate. And I'm going to select this line. I think these are still grouped too. So now these are all separate. So we're going to go through, select this line, and hold Shift. So I'm holding Shift, and now I'm selecting multiple things. So you'll see that this is selected, and the line. And since the line is on top, it will be able to subtract from it. So you hit subtract. Oops, that's not right. So you're going to go up here. You know, sometimes things don't work out the way you want it to, right? Well, you can always, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make these a little bit smaller and then move these down so they're not overlapping. You know, that's the thing about making stuff. Sometimes you just have to. Oh, you could weld. I don't know why I didn't do that. That's why I have all of you in here, just to be a great team. So I'm going back to where I was. Thanks for the advice, Dwayne. So I'm going to go over here. And now they're welded. Since they're being cut in the same color, that's, you know, something that you can do. So I'm just going to select all of these down here. This is grouped together so we can weld that. So this is all one. Thanks for the advice, Dwayne. So now we're going to go back and choose our cut settings. We're going to go through advanced, and right now you can see if we were to cut right now to our silhouette, everything that's highlighted in this red outline is what will be cut. So we're going to go to advanced settings. And now you can choose by fill color. So if I want this M to be cut out, I'll take out this purple. So the purple won't be cut. And then this no color, this is our weeding box. So now I will go ahead and I can send this to my cutter and it'll cut this outline and this weeding box. And so when you want to cut the other color, you would just uncheck these and then select the purple. So easy peasy, you can get that done out, and this is something that you could quickly pump out even if you do sell things in your store, things like that. That's a great way to do something personalized that is really simple on your end. And so I'm just going to go through it one more time for you guys. So I know a couple of you missed the beginning, so I'm just going to start all over. And I just highlighted and deleted it. So give me another last name to do. Well, initial. What's another one? We have a lot of S's in here, so I'm going to do S. So go in here, choose S, and now we're just going to stretch that out. And depending on how big you want it to be, so we have this, and I'll go ahead and fill that for you as well. Great. So we put our box through here. And sometimes you just need to find the right spot. Depending on how last names, oh, I don't have it selected. Depending on how last names are, you kind of have to modify where you put the names. My last name starts with a P, so it gets kind of tricky when I want to do that. So I'm just going to move it down a little bit so it's not right in the center. It just kind of gives you a little bit of an off-center look. So I'm going to go ahead and align center. That way you can kind of get that in the right spot. And now, while these are still highlighted, I'm going to go ahead and modify and subtract. So now we have that space, but what do I need to do next? Right, we're going to group. So these are already selected. So if you did click away, you could just drag the box around, select both of these, and group. And we'll go ahead and make these lines. I think this part all of you were in here for, so I'm just going to breeze through it a little bit faster. And I'm holding down Alt or Control if you're on a Mac, just bringing these down. And then I'll just make sure all of these are aligned. So we have these boxes, and we'll just type in, we'll just grab, we'll just grab this font. And I'll do Lisa and Nick. That's my husband's name. So we just need to make this a little bit smaller to fit in there. And, you know, you can choose the font that you want or the one that you like, but just to kind of show you how we got it. So there, that's how you do a split monogram. We've seen it all over Pinterest, all over the internet, and it's something that's easy to do, and you can do it right in your Silhouette Studio. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to bring in an image so you can trace it and make something. So I love anchors. Do you all have customers who want anchor things? They're always asking for probably an anchored monogram or anything along those lines. Yeah. Yeah. It is. I know. I think they're really cute. I have quite a few anchor shirts, and I wore an anchor shirt over to my father-in-law's house, and he said, "Oh, I hope that shirt's not weighing you down." So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in this anchor clip art, and it's a little bit big, so I'm just going to shrink it down just a tiny bit, and you can see that it has the background in it. It's a JPEG, so you can't modify anything. You can't select points. There are no points. So with an image like this, it's a really easy image to trace because there's no variation in contrast. It's one big, flat, black image. So we're going to go up here. This is our trace panel, and select the trace area. So we'll go through, and I want to select around the anchor. And the high pass filter looks for contours and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck it. So now we have a pretty good outline here already. And I'm just going to bring up the threshold a little bit. If you look, you can see it's like a little bit fuzzy around the edges, like around the circle. So I'm going to bring in the threshold a little bit, kind of fill it in. So we have that in. And I'm going to bring down the scale a little bit. The higher the scale is, the fuzzier it looks. So I'm going to bring it down all the way to give me the crispest line I can get. And all the way is apparently 4 for them. So we're going to go through and click trace. So now our anchor is traced. So you see right there we have our anchor, and we can just get rid of that. So were any of you in the Designer Edition intro? I think I did 2 weeks ago where I did a circle monogram for this anchor. Yeah, so I did do that. So what I'm going to do is, if you did the circle monogram for the anchor, if you wanted to do that, it's very similar to what we just did with the split monogram. But what I'm going to show you is something that I did a little bit earlier today, and I'm going to show you how to modify this anchor to make it a little bit more girly, and it'll give you a nice little touch for your customers. And if you did miss that webinar that I did, it is on our YouTube channel. Feel free to find it. I think the thumbnail image has the anchor in it, so it's a pretty easy one that you'll be able to find. So what I have is I have my anchor here, and I want to make this top part a heart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open an image I have of a heart. There it is. And so what we're going to do is, this is still a JPEG, so I'm just going to do a quick trace on it so we can work with it. So again, I'm going to take off my high pass filter and turn up the threshold. So that's too much. So all of that is selected, and we'll bring the scale down just a little bit. Okay, so we'll click trace, and now we have the heart. So we have all that. So I'm just going to copy it because I'm in another tab. I'm in a different tab. So I'm going to go back to our anchor, and I'm going to paste it in here. So we're going to do a couple modifications to this heart. So just to make sure I have what I need, I'm going to copy it a couple times. But before I do, if you notice, I have a couple fuzzies up here from the trace. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release compound path. So now all these little fuzzies are, well, that's one way to do it. I was going to select it, but that works too. So all these little fuzzies are selected in this little group I did. So delete, they're all gone. So now I have a nice clean heart to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. Okay, I'll go back. So let me go back a few steps for you. Okay, so we have our heart here, and we have these little tiny stragglers. They wanted to make it through from the trace. And this happens a lot when you do traces. Sometimes you'll just get a little bit of this almost noise on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to select it, and we're going to release compound path. So all of these are individualized. And what I just learned with you guys is I can just grab this heart, move it out of the way, and select all of these in one quick sweep and delete it. So we have that all set. And I'm going to select this heart again, and I'm going to convert it back to path, just so it's easier to work with. So I want this heart to be up here, obviously not that big. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make an offset. So I'm going to make it so this line is thicker. So I'll select offset, and I like this outside shape to be the way it is, so I'm going to do an internal offset. So we have that, but we want it thicker. So we're just going to make it a little bit bigger until it's the size that we like. And I don't know about you, but sometimes silhouette gives me a hard time, and it goes from nothing to boom. I'm going to be a huge line. So we have our offset and apply. And now these are still two lines, and we want that to be grouped together. So I'm just going to hit Control-Z, go back to that, and I'm going to select both of these. So you can tell there are two things selected because there are two lines right here. So I'm going to go over here to Object and make Compound Path. The square went away, so this is one image now, one line. So like always, I'm going to fill it just so it's easier to work with. And this blue's a little bit off just so that we can get that going. So I'm just going to take this and duplicate it just in case I need it. Like, you know, in Silhouette Studio, my best way of learning is making mistakes and figuring out what not to do. So I always like to have a backup around just in case I make that mistake, which sometimes is a lot. So I want this off of the anchor. So I'm going to take the knife tool. There's a couple other ways to do it, but I just found that this was the easiest for me. The great thing about Silhouette Designer Edition is there's different ways that you can do it. So I'm just going to go in and chop it. That was a pretty clean cut. But to go back, if you hold down Shift, you can cut at 45-degree angles. So that's a great way if you need to go straight across. So I'm just going to select here, and I'm holding down Shift, so I have a perfect line. And I cut a little bit into that anchor, so now I know to go up a little bit, and the same thing. So we're going to go in, and now this is separate, and we're going to hit Delete. So this little notch is not a big deal because we are putting something right on there. If that's something that if you cut something and you needed to go back and fix it, we have our Edit Point tool. You could always edit the point and move it up a little bit. So I can grab it and move this point. So I kind of evened it out a little bit. So you could either leave it or you can go in and adjust it. It all depends on how precise you want it. Or delete it. Yeah, you could delete the points. It's kind of whatever works best for you. So now this anchor looks ridiculous. Don't you think? I think so. So we're just going to scale this down and bring it in. So it all depends on how you want it. I think that's a pretty good size. So I didn't need my goof up heart after all. So go through, select it, and align center. Look pretty good. And so if we were to send it to our cutter right now, it would cut that line. So we'll just go through like we have before and weld it. So now you have your cute little heart anchor. It's a, Pinterest phenomenon. It'll be the newest thing. The only thing to make it better is to put a monogram on it, right? So one thing you could do with this is, I know a lot of times we have people asking for love. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cute little custom design for a shirt using this anchor and one of our TrueType fonts. So we'll go through and let's see. Let's get one of our TRW fonts. So all of our fonts you can buy at the rhinestoneworld.com. Our two-color HTV fonts work really well in Designer Edition, but it's kind of what you want to do. I'm just looking for a certain one in here, and of course, I'm a visual person, so I know what it looks like in this list, but for the life of me, I can't tell you the name of the font. Are any of you like that? I tried to give directions to someone the other day, and I said, you go down the road and you find the turn that looks like a forest, and then the house is the one with the blue roof. And they were not having it. They were not pleased with my directions, but you know, that's just how it went. So now we have this. So I'm going to select this and yeah, take a right at the tree that has 2 leaves. Oh, but it had 1 leaf. Well, I guess it fell down. So we have our L and our this font, our TRW stripe bold. It is a 2-color font. So if you type in lower, it decided to go away for that part. But now I know the name, stripe bold HTV. So we're going to go over here. And so this is a 2-color font. So you can type lowercase and uppercase, and I'll raise that for you. So it'll do the inside and outside. So this is great if you do 2 colors of HTV. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to do 1. So I'm going to change this, and since I know that the lowercase has a better outline, I'm just going to change it to a lowercase L. So you have that nice outline on there, and then if you did do a lowercase another color, you could use the layering technique that I just showed for the printer, and you could do the 2 kind. But for this, I'm just going to do that. So we have our L, and to make things easier, I'm just going to, well, I tried to copy and paste, but it didn't work out too much. So we're just going to go in here, select our number or letter. Oh, 2. So we're going to go in here. We have our L, and then that'll be our O, B, E. So we have these, and we'll make it pink again. We'll fill it the same color to make it easier. So now we have these letters. So they're not the same size. And I see that someone has to go to work. These seminars get you. We're trying to schedule them at different times, so hopefully we'll get you another time. But, you know, it's kind of, that's the beauty of having all of our crew all over the country. We just kind of have to work around it. So I'm going to make that. And I want these to align to the left. I don't want it to be centered, so I'll just click align to the left. And so, you know, the space is a little bit big. So if you ever want to edit text, you double click. I'm just going to backspace. So sometimes it doesn't work the way you want it. You could always grab your text and convert to path. And so now I'm going to ungroup this, and I have our individual letters. So now I can move this over a little bit, and I've made it a path. And we'll just kind of adjust them the way we want it, and grab our little anchor. So I'll just align these. So I'm aligning these to the left. And I'm just going to select these 2, and I'm going to align these center. So now that anchor is centered on that E. Oh, and I converted that text to path because when you stretch that text out, I'll type another one for you. Striped bold. So let's say I type in Lisa, and when I stretch it, you can see over in this corner, my font size is going up. And if I were to put in a space, I'm double clicking, the spaces are a lot larger. You could go through and highlight these and decrease your character spacing. So you can make it less than 100%. But a personal preference of mine is just to convert it to path. But it's kind of whatever is easiest for you. I like to use the tools at the top, so that's something that I do. So we have this little love thing. I'm going to grab these, and I'm just going to group them so they're a little bit easier to work with. And just going to move that over. Okay, so did you guys know that Easter is coming very quickly? Like, let me look at my calendar. What, it's less than 2 weeks away. It's really early. It's April 5th. You know, up until now, I have been saying it's April 6th. April 6th is a Monday. I don't know. I don't know how I did that, but that's why we have calendars, right? It kind of helps us out. So I am going to show you how to make a cute little Easter design. I don't know if you have a, oh, wait, do you have kids? It was funny, I was just about to say, if you have little kids, this will be a cute little shirt to make for them for Easter. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to this Untitled document. This is like the standard one. It's a new document. Whenever you open something to trace it, it opens a new tab. So just for the sake of being convenient, I'm going to make this tab. So have any of you been looking online for Easter eggs to trace and to put into Silhouette Studio? And you feel like you keep finding like eggs, but not really great ones? Yeah, you would think a little egg is super easy, right? Well, guess what? It's super easy to make in Designer Edition. So I am going to show you without looking up Google image search or looking up Pinterest search. I actually search on Pinterest more, believe it or not. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our ellipse tool, the circle tool, and we're going to make an oval. And it's picking up my color from before. So we have our oval, and I just made that. But it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look good. It looks like there was something wrong with that chicken. So we're going to hit edit points. So now we have the 4 points here. So what, Easter eggs are kind of fat on bottom and they taper to the top, right? So I am just going to take this bottom one and flatten that a little bit. And I'm going to take the top one and stretch it just a tiny bit. Look, that is an Easter egg. You do not have to do a Google search. You can make an Easter egg right in your Designer Edition. So we have our Easter egg. We could do a fill. One thing is what I'll do is I'll take away the fill for now so you have that outline. And let's say you just want an egg, like an egg outline, nothing more. Then we would just do our offset. And we're going to do a normal offset. So around the edge, I think that's a pretty good space. So I'm going to grab that. And now I'm grabbing my line and my offset. And I'm going to make it a compound path. So now I have that outline. I can fill it in however I want. So you have a cute little egg outline that you could do. Well, let's say, are any of you looking for polka dot eggs? And it's super hard to find a polka dot egg or a chevron one that you like? Well, there is another way to do it. So let's see. Let's make a polka dot egg. So do you guys know how to make a perfect circle in Designer Edition without, staring at the screen? Do any of you know the secret? Yes, you use Shift. So whenever you want something to be symmetrical, you hold down Shift, and now you have a perfect circle. So I'm going to make some polka dots for the egg, and I'm going to turn off the fill because it's not necessary right now. I'm going to do that. So I didn't hold Shift down. I got too excited for you guys. So let me go back and make you some circles. So got some little ones, a bigger one. And you just kind of make them. Oops. I'm not clicking, but the mouse just decided to stay there. So that one we'll move over a little bit. And you just kind of make the pattern that you like. And I'll do like one more medium one over here. So let's say you want, I don't know, you want a bigger pattern, but I am so tired of these circles. So I'll just Shift again, hold Shift, and I'm going to select some of these. And I'll grab that one too. And if I want to duplicate it, I can just hold down Alt. Oops. I'll just grab all these. Hold down my Alt and move it over here. And, you don't want the pattern to be exactly the same. So if you hover over this green dot, you can kind of rotate it a different way. So I'm going to rotate it, move it over here, and then I can adjust a couple of these, move it up here, etc. So I'm going to grab these two, hold Alt, move it over here, rotate it a little bit, find the best way to fit it. So I have a polka dot pattern. You know, it's cute. So I want to fill an Easter egg with it. So I'm going to go ahead and make my little oval and then edit my points so I can make it more eggy. I know it's not a word, but I'm the queen of making up words. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this. So I'm going to hold down Alt. You can copy and paste if you want as well. And just because I'm really good at making mistakes, I'll do another one. So what we're going to do is we're going to hover this egg over there. And that doesn't really look like a great egg, right? So what we'll do is we're going to select all of these. I'm going to go to Modify. And we are going to crop. So now we have the polka dots in the egg shape, but the egg's not there. So I'm going to take these polka dots and I'm going to group them so I don't move them accidentally. And you can kind of see where the egg shape would be. But now we'll go ahead and grab our egg. And oh, I'm a little bit off. You can just select it, use your align tools, and center it. So there they are right in there. You can see it's a little bit off, kind of just adjust it as needed. So we have that. So we have our little polka dot eggs, and what we're going to do is I'm going to make sure that this is one cut file. So I'm just going to make a compound path, and now it's all together. So you have a cute little Easter egg that you can cut out. You know, easy peasy. So let's say you wanted this egg and you know, this is the Rhinestone World, so we want our little rhinestone eggs. So what we're going to do is this is the same egg, so we want a line of rhinestones around that. So do you think you guys have figured out how I'm going to do that? We are going to offset. So I'm going to select this egg and offset it. So I'll hit offset. So now we have that line around there. So we can kind of put this little one aside. We don't need it right now. And up here is our rhinestone tool. And we will make an edge. So now we have our rhinestone outline. If you put it around here, we're going to align it, of course. And look, we have a rhinestone outline around our Easter egg that we designed. And we didn't have to look up an Easter egg anywhere. It's right there. So what do you think? Do you want to make an Easter shirt? Want to make a little design for our kids? Well, I don't have any kids, but us. We're all together. So I'm going to go ahead and just get all this out of the way so we can keep going. So do you guys remember how to make the Easter egg? Yep, we're going to make this and modify points. And there's our little eggies. That's a good question. I just got a question about rhinestones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this so you have that. So I'm going to go ahead and convert this over to rhinestones. So we're going to go to our rhinestone panel. And on rhinestones, we have our sizes here. So I will make an edge, and then right now it defaults to SS10. SS10 is, you know, the most common size rhinestone. We actually have our largest selection, our SS10. But let's say you wanted a smaller one, you could do our SS6, and it will automatically fix the spacing for you. So all you have to do is think about what size stone you want, and it kind of takes care of the rest. So Designer Edition is really helpful that way. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. So we have this egg, but I want 3 Easter eggs. So I'm going to just hold down Alt and move these over. So let's see. An Easter color, definitely yellow, right? Yellow. I'm going to go to the next one because that one's a little bright. And then purple. And then a pink one. And again, to just duplicate it, I'm holding down Alt and then just dragging. So that'll make another one for you. And now that I look at this egg, I think I want it to be green. Maybe not that green. Yeah, that's an Easter color, right? So, I want to make this a little bit cute, so I'm going to angle this out a little bit. Put this over here. And then I'll angle this a little bit. So the green little dot angles these. And so, I don't know, I kind of want that purple one on top, right? So what we're going to do is I'm just going to select it, right-click it, bring to front. So now the purple one's on top, and I always like things to be even, so I'm just going to align these on the bottom. Align bottom. So all of them are even. So we have our little eggs, and I'm just going to group these because knowing me, I will click it and move something. So now I'm going to move this to the side because I'm going to work on Happy Easter. So do any of you know how to put text on a path? Yes, it's a couple steps. So I'm going to hold down Shift and make a circle. So I got the ellipse tool, and I'm making my circle. And so if you make your circle and you need to resize it, you can always select it, and this corner will keep it symmetrical. So you don't have to worry about holding down Shift once you have the corner. So I'm going to bring my eggs back in to see what like a good spacing is. This looks pretty good. So I'm just going to grab this and center it. So my eggs are just centered around that. So it looks good. And I'm going to move these eggs again just to get this out of my way. And so now we have a circle, but the process that we're doing now is to put text to path. So we're going to select the circle and convert to path. So now this is a path. It looks the same, but it is a path. So I'll go back. And so we'll type in Happy Easter. And I'm going to pick a rhinestone font. Maybe I won't because I don't see it on here. I took over Rudy's computer because it was a little bit quieter in here. You guys know we're doing our construction. So, I'm actually going to do our TRW polka dots then. It's pretty cute. So we have TRW polka dot. And of course, I didn't highlight it. You guys didn't remind me. So we have our polka dot. Select it. So if you look, see how these are outlined and that's not? It's because I held down Shift. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to put that back in lowercase. Oh, Happy Easter, right? So we'll go in here and fill it in. So we've got this. You can fill that in. Let me click that. So I'm going to make that lighter pink. Make it a little bit easier. And we have that. We can do that. I'll go ahead and do another color for you so you can see it filled in. So we have that. So now I'm holding down Shift. Happy. And I'm going to fill this in that purple. So now it's filled in opposite. You can see that these fill in on each other. So we'll grab these and we will align them centered. So it's a cute little polka dot effect that you can do on there. And I'm going to group that. So now you can go in there and it's grouped together. So I'm going to go back actually because we want this to still be a font when we do that. So we have both of these selected. And I'm just going to move this to the side so I can show you. Of course, you can do this with any font you have on your computer. So I'm going to double tap it. So you need to have this green box around your font because you are modifying your font. And this arrow over here, you're going to grab this arrow, and you're just going to hover over the circle. Because the circle's a path, it should pick it up, but it has decided. There we go. So you need that little compass to touch your path. So we have Happy Easter, and we can make it bigger, or we can bring it closer. So I'm just going to put it right there. And you can kind of move it the way you want it to be. So I'm going to put that right there. So if we want this Happy Easter to stay there, if we move the circle, it's going to move with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight it, and we are going to convert to path. So now it's in its own path, and we can take that circle out of there. So you can do that with other fonts. Have a cute little thing over there. I'll show you another one. One of my favorite things to say is Happy Easter, every bunny. I don't know why. I just think it's really cute. So I'm going to open up. I have a cute little bunny in here. And I'm going to trace it so I can work with it. And turn off high pass filter. And turn up my threshold. So we're getting rid of some of that fuzzies. And yes, you can curve rhinestone text. I will show you on this one actually. So we have that. And we have our little bunny. And you see all these fuzzies here? So we're going to select it and release compound path. So now we have this. And I'm going to move my smooth one out of here and get rid of all that. And so we have a couple little bumps in there. These are probably points that just need to be taken out. So you can always go in there and take out a point. So I'm right-clicking, hitting delete point. Just for the sake of this, I'm just going to leave it there. So we have our little bunny. Going to fill it in with pink, of course. So I'm going to shrink that down a little bit. And I'm going to give this bunny a friend. So I'm hitting down Alt and bringing this over here. So we have two little bunny friends. I'm going to align the bottoms so they're even. And now I'm going to wrap some text around it. So I'm holding down Shift and making a circle. So now I'm going to, what I forgot to do is I'm going to group these bunnies. They are love bunnies. So they want to stay together. So we're going to select all of these and center that. So we have that, and we have our circle. So this looks like a good circle around there. I'll probably bring it in just a little bit because the text goes on that. I'm putting the text on the outside of it. So go in there, center it. So again, I'm going to move my bunnies out of the way. They're going to hop on over there. And I'm going to select my circle and convert to path. So I'll put that there. That's ready for me to put my text in. So I'm going to grab this and grab a rhinestone. So we're going to grab, oops. Let's see. I think you know, it's computers, right? The bunny I just grabbed off a search. I just pulled it from my library just to show you how to trace with it. So I think this is okay, so this is a rhinestone font. So I'm going to write Happy Easter. And so with this font, whenever you download fonts from the Rhinestone World, you also have a guide for what text size to make the circles the right size for your rhinestones. I don't have this guide in front of me right now, but what, for some of them, I'll just type in a larger point size so you can see it. So I'll make this 104 point. So these aren't quite big enough, but if you check our website when you do download a rhinestone font, it'll tell you what point size to make it for what stone size you would like to make. So this font is called TRW 78RF. So just for the sake of that, I'm going to put this there. Typically, you want to find a font that can actually be rhinestone for this. But I'm just going to show you this. And so just like before, we're going to take it and put it over our circle. I'm going to select that, make it a little bit tighter on there. So we have that. And before we move it, before we want to do anything, if we're set with where we want it to be, we're going to take our text and we're going to convert it to path. So now it's there. We can move it around, but I want to put something underneath here. So I'll go ahead and take my text and find my font again. So that's our font. And I'm going to type in, oh, sorry guys, I got too excited for all of you. So we have that selected and type in every bunny. Happy Easter, everybody. So I'll go ahead and just make it the same point size. Again, you'll have to find the point size that our JPEG, our guide will tell you. But I'll put this down here. And now it's wrapping upside down. I don't want that. It's hard to read it. So what I'm going to do is you can grab it, and now you have it on the inside. And that doesn't really look great either, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to expand the size. So now we have it on the outside of the circle. But now those letters are really close together. So this is how we would adjust our character spacing. So we'll just go ahead and bring our character spacing in a little bit. And, then after you do it, you might have to move it around a little bit to center it back. But that's how you can get your text on the outside of the circle without having it upside down, because it annoys me, so I'm sure it annoys all of you. So we'll go through and convert that to path. So now we have our curved font. So we can get rid of that circle. Get out of here. We don't need you anymore. So we have our cute little bunnies and our Happy Easter every bunny. And I'm going to grab this one, and I'm holding down Shift to grab another one. So I have these, and I'm just going to group it so I don't separate anything. So now that we have it grouped, this is one, and this is one. So I'm going to select all of these and just center it. So now we have our little bunnies in the center. And of course, we probably want some rhinestones, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these a little bit smaller because I was a little ambitious, I guess. So I'll go ahead, center that again. And we're going to offset this. We have an offset. And then edge. So now, see how we have these little rhinestones in here? They don't make any sense, right? So we can go down in our rhinestone panel and release rhinestones. So now every rhinestone is individual. So I can just click out of here, click this little rhinestone, maybe. There we go. For some reason, it's decided to grab a bunch of them. But we have our, I don't know. There we go. So we can click that. It's one of those days, right? So I'm just going to move these bunnies out of here and grab these rhinestones. You can hold Shift, or you can just select all of these. Hit Delete, put our bunnies back, and we can always grab both of these and align them to the center. So you can always use your... Oh, that little thing. So before we do that is we can grab all of our stones. Ugh. Ugh, not you. So go ahead. We'll group these so I don't have that problem anymore. And then we will center these. We're going to group them so we don't have that problem anymore. And then we'll grab all of these and center that. So, of course, you can choose whichever font you'd like, whatever inside you'd want, but that's a great way that you can do curved text around something on the inside. I don't have any kids yet, but I would imagine when they're in school, there's always some reason to make them a shirt or some reason to sell shirts. So that's a great way to kind of make an easy shirt, and you can all do that. And so that's a cute little thing. And I don't know, is there anything else you guys would like to see, or do you want me to go over anything? I'm not Rudy. I'm doing really well on time. Normally he's like 30 minutes over by the time he gets done with his designs, right? Well, did all of you learn something? Something cool? Do you guys have any other, oops, I moved that. Do you guys have any other questions? I know I saw a couple more come in. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you a listing of shortcuts. I'll see if I can find one. I don't know if I have any, but you can always, I know some of them are pretty standard, you know, copy and paste, things like that. So I'll show you a couple cool tricks that I've learned with my Silhouette Studio. So let's say we have our design page settings, and I want to cut, you know, you can't cut any wider than 12, but I want to cut, you know, I want to cut 20 inches long, or I want to cut whatever. So we can change our height to 20 inches. And this expands our workspace. So it goes down here. But if you see this red line here, that is what your mat's going to cut. So we don't want that. I made the mistake once of making this really nice design, and it was big. And I stretched it all the way through here, but I still had that stupid line there, and it didn't cut it all the way. And I was so frustrated. And the answer is very simple. If you want to cut longer than the cutting mat, then of course you're going to be feeding your vinyl or your sticky flot straight in there. You just choose no cutting mat. And there's that line. Now it's all the way down here. Can you believe that? It was so easy, and I was so annoyed about it. So that's a cool trick. If you didn't know, now you know. So I'm going to go ahead and put this cutting mat back on Cameo to show you something else. So we have our cutting mat, and it's pretty plain. It's good for designing it, but I want to see the grid. So what I can do is I can up this reveal. So if I wanted a little bit, I have the grid there. If I wanted a lot, I can do 100%. But a cool thing is I love using my Cameo to make little things with my scrap vinyl. I don't know if you do, but I do. I love it. Oops, I just hit my microphone. I'm so sorry, guys. So what we can do is once you reveal this, look at this. You can see the numbers up here. So let's say if you had like a 5-inch scrap and you weren't sure if your design was going to fit in there, you just use that grid and you can make sure it fits right in there. So that's a cool little trick that you can use, and you can show your friends, and you can look really, really smart doing that. So those are some neat tricks I had in here. I really loved hanging out with all of you. You had some great questions. You were great to work with. I do have a webinar coming up. I believe it's next week, not sure, but I will be going over the introduction with Designer Edition. My next webinar, my next big intermediate one, I'm going to be showing all of you how to make shape text, how to make more monograms. So I know that you probably have a lot of Pinterest fanatics that you do stuff for. I love monograms. I want to make all of the monograms, but my husband has said no more monograms. So I'm going to teach all of you to make them, and you can have lots of fun monograms. If any of you are participating in March Matchup, don't forget to check the leaderboard. We've got some pretty high scores. It's going pretty well. And we're working on getting some more things for you. Do any of you go to our TRW lounges? I know some of you on the West Coast, it's like TRW coffee brunch. It's pretty early for you guys. Well, if you are at the lounge, I'd encourage you to make it into one. I'm going to try to get some at a better time for those of you on the West Coast, but just remember, I'm here at the Rhinestone World. I'm the marketing manager, so what we've been doing at our lounge is I've been coming in the second half and kind of answering some marketing questions you all might have, social media, online. So I really enjoy doing that. I love helping all of you with your business, not only with making your designs, but also getting your designs out there. So we have one, not this week because the guys are in Minnesota, but we have one, I believe, next week. We do have our lounges and our webinars. We have them in our events tab on Facebook. You can find them and register through the link there. So if you're looking for more webinars, we have them scheduled in lounges, and I'm in there answering your questions, and feel free to send us any emails if you have more things you want to cover in silhouettes. I really love learning, and I love teaching all of you. So I'm glad that I could be in here with you all. Thanks for being patient with me. I'm still new at webinars. This is my second webinar ever. So, we're all learning a little bit as we go. So, hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you soon.